the chapter is gonna be like age appropriate or traumatizing, or I never know what to expect. So I'm pretty nervous, but at the same time, I'm excited. The last chapter was a lot, to say the least. Go watch that one if you haven't, so you're caught up. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into chapter 15. I don't know if I said that already. We're on chapter 15. Let's get into it. I arrive at the restaurant 15 minutes late. Right when I was about to close the night, I had a customer come in to order flowers for a funeral. I couldn't turn them away because, sadly, funerals are the best business for a florist. Ryle waves me over to the table and I walk straight to them, doing my best not to look around. I don't want to see Atlas. I tried twice to get them to change the restaurant location, but Alyssa was hell-bent on eating here after Ryle told her how good it was. I slide into the booth and Ryle leans over and kisses me on the cheek. Hey, girlfriend. Alyssa groans. God, you guys are so cute, it's sickening. I smile at her. Her eyes immediately go over to the corner of my eye. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it might today, which is probably due to Ryle forcing me to keep ice on it. Oh my God, Alyssa says. Ryle told me what happened, but I didn't think it was that bad. I glance at Ryle, wondering what he told her. The truth. He smiles and says, olive oil was everywhere. When she slipped, it was so graceful you'd think she was a ballerina. So a lie. Fair enough. I would have done the same thing. It was pretty pathetic, I say with a laugh. Somehow we get through dinner without a hitch. No sign of Atlas, no thoughts of last night, and Ryle and I both avoid the wine. After we finish with our food, our waiter approaches the table. Care for dessert? He asked. I shake my head, but Alyssa perks up. What do you have? Marshall looks just as interested. We're eating for two, so we'll take anything chocolate, he says. Oh. The waiter nods, and when he walks away, Alyssa looks at Marshall. This baby is the size of a bed bug right now. You better not encourage bad habits for the next several months. The waiter returned with the dessert cart. The chef gives all expected mothers dessert on the house. He says, congratulations. He does, Alyssa says, perking up. Guess that's why it's called Bibs, Marshall says. Chef likes babies. We look at the cart. Oh God, I say, looking at the options. This is my new favorite restaurant, Alyssa says. We pick out the 3 desserts for the table. The 4 of us spend the time waiting for it to be served, discussing baby names. No, Alyssa says to Marshall, we're not naming this baby after a state. But I love Nebraska, he whines. Idaho. Alyssa drops her head in her hands. This is going to be the demise of our marriage. Demise, Marshall says. That's actually a good name. Demise, Marshall says. That's actually a good name. Marshall's murder is throttled by the arrival of dessert. Our waiter places a piece of chocolate cake in front of Alyssa and steps aside to make room for the waiter behind him who is holding the 2 other desserts. The waiter motions toward the guy placing our dessert down and says, the chef would like to extend his congratulations. How was the meal? The chef says, looking at Alyssa and Marshall. By the time his eyes make it to mine, my anxiety is seeping from me. Atlas locks eyes with me, and without thinking, I blurt out, you're the chef. I love this. The waiter leans around Atlas and says, the chef, the owner, sometimes the waiter, sometimes dishwasher. He gives a new meaning to hands-on. Oh my God, so Atlas owns this restaurant. Good for him. Good for him. The next 5 seconds go unnoticed by everyone at the table, but they play out in slow motion to me. Atlas' eyes falls to the cut on my eye, the bandage wrapped around Ryle's hand, then back to my eye. We love your restaurant, Alyssa says. You have an incredible place here. Atlas doesn't look at her. I see the roll of his throat as he swallows. His jaw hardens and he says nothing as he walks away. Shit. Oh my God. The waiter tries to cover for Atlas's hasty retreat by smiling and showing way too much teeth. Enjoy your dessert, he says, scuffing off to the kitchen. bummer, says Alyssa. We find a new restaurant and the chef is an asshole. Ryle laughs, but the assholes are the best ones. Gordon Ramsay. Good point, Marshall says. I put my hand on Ryle's arm. Bathroom, I tell him. He nods as I scoot out of the booth and Marshall says, what about Wolfgang Puck? You think he's an asshole? Who even is that? I walk across the restaurant, head down, fast-paced. As soon as I get into the familiar hallway, I keep going. I push open the door to the women's restroom and then turn around and lock it. Shit. It says that in here. The look in his eyes, the anger in his jaw. I'm relieved he walked away, and I'm half convinced he's probably going to be waiting outside the restaurant when we leave, ready to kick Ryle's ass. I breathe in my nose, out my mouth, wash my hands, repeating and breathing. Once I'm more calm, I dry my hands on a towel. I'll just go back out there and tell Ryle I'm not feeling well. We'll leave and we'll never come back. They all think the chef is an asshole, so that can be an excuse. I unlock the door, but I don't pull it open. It starts pushing open from the other side, so I step back. Atlas steps inside the bathroom with me and locks the door. His back rests against the door as he stares at me, focused on the cut near my eye. What happened? He says. I shake my head. Nothing. His eyes are narrow, still ice blue, but somehow burning with fire. You're lying, Lily. I muster enough of a smile to get by. It was an accident. Atlas laughs, but then his face falls flat. Leave him. Leave him. Jesus, he thinks this is something else entirely. I take a step forward and shake my hand. He's not like that, Atlas. It wasn't like that. Ryle is a good person. He tilts his head and leans it forward a little bit. Funny. You sound just like your mother. Whoa. His words sting. I immediately try to reach around for the door, but he grabs my wrist. Leave him, Lily. I ache my hand away. I turn my back to him and inhale a deep breath. I release it slowly as I face him again. If it's any comparison at all, I'm more scared of you right now than I've ever been of him. My words make Atlas pause for a moment. His nod starts out slowly, then he gets more prominent as he steps away from the door. I certainly didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable. He motions towards the door, just trying to repay the concern you've always shown me. I stare at him for a moment, unsure how to take his words. He's still raging on the inside, I can see it. But on the outside, he's calm, collected, allowing me to leave. I reach forward and unlock the door, then pull it open. I gasp when my eyes meet Ryle. This is gonna get messy. I quickly glance over my shoulder to see Atlas filing out of the bathroom with me. Ryle's eyes fill with confusion as he looks from me to Atlas. What the fuck, Lily? Ryle, my voice shakes. God, this looks so much worse than it is. Atlas steps around me and turns toward the door to the kitchen, as if Ryle doesn't even exist to him. Ryle's eyes are glued to Atlas's back. Keep walking, Atlas. Right when Atlas reaches the kitchen doors, he pauses. No, keep walking. In what becomes one of the most dreadful moments I can imagine, he spins around and strides towards Ryle, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt. Almost as soon as it happens, Ryle forces Atlas back and slams him against the opposite wall. My God. Atlas lunges for Ryle again, this time shoving his forearm against Ryle's throat, pinning him against the wall. You touch her again, and I'll cut your effing hand off and shove it down your throat, you worthless piece of shit. Atlas, stop, I yell. Atlas releases Ryle forcefully, taking a huge step back. Ryle is breathing heavily, staring at Atlas long and hard. Then his focus moves directly to me. Atlas. He says his name with familiarity. Why is Ryle saying Atlas' name like that? Like he's heard me say it before. I've never told him about Atlas. Wait, I did. That first night on the roof. It was one of my naked truths. against opposite walls, staring each other down, breathing heavily. I can't even look at either of them. I can't look at Atlas, not after what Ryle just did to him. I also can't look at Ryle because he's probably thinking the absolute worst possible thing right now. Out, Atlas yelled, pointing at the door, but looking at Ryle. Get the hell out of my restaurant. I meet Ryle's eyes as he begins to walk past me, scared what I'll see in them. But there isn't any anger there. Only hurt. Lots of hurt. He pauses as if he's about to say something to me, but his face just twists into disappointment and he walks back out into the restaurant. I finally glance up at Atlas and can see disappointment all across his face. Before I can explain away Ryle's words to him, he turns and walks away, pushing through the kitchen doors. I immediately turn and run after Atlas. He grabs his jacket from the booth and walks toward the exit without even looking at Alyssa and Marshall. Alyssa looks up at me and holds her hand up in question. I shake my head, grab my purse, and say, "It's a long story. We'll talk tomorrow." I follow Ryle outside and he's walking toward the parking lot. I run to catch up to him and he just stops and punches the air. "I didn't bring my effing car," he yells, frustrated. I pull my keys out of my purse and he walks up to me and snatches them from my hand. Again, I follow him, this time to my car. I don't know what to do. I don't know if he even wants to speak to me right now. He just saw me locked in a bathroom with a guy I used to be in love with. Then, out of nowhere, that guy attacks him. God, this is so bad. When we reach my car, he heads straight for the driver's side door. He points at the passenger side and says, "Get in, Lily." He doesn't speak to me the entire time we're driving. I say his name once, but he just shakes his head like he's not ready to hear my explanation yet. When we pull into my parking garage, he gets out of the car as soon as he turns it off, like he can't wait to get away from me fast enough. He's pacing the length of the car when I get out. It wasn't what it looked like, Ryle, I swear. He stops pacing. When he looks at me, my heart doubles over. There's so much pain in his eyes right now, and it's not even necessary. It was all due to a stupid misunderstanding. "I didn't want this, Lily," he says. "I didn't want to be in a relationship. I didn't want this stress in my life." As much as he's hurting because of what he thinks he saw, his words still piss me off. "Well, then leave." Lily, calm down. What? I throw my hands up. "I don't want to be your burden, Ryle. I'm so sorry. My presence in your life is so unbearable." He takes a step forward. "Lily, that's not at all what I'm saying." He throws his hands up in frustration and then walks past me. He leans against my car and holds his hands over his chest. There's a long stretch of silence while I wait for what he says. His head is down and he lifts it slightly, looking at me. "Naked truths, Lily. That's all I want from you right now. Can you please give me that?" I nod. "Did you know you worked there?" I press my lips together and wrap my arm over my chest, grabbing at my elbow. "Yes. That's why I didn't want to go back there, Ryle. I didn't want to run into him." My answer seems to release a little of his tension. He runs a hand down his face. "Did you tell him what happened last night? Did you tell him about our fight?" I take a step forward and shake my head adamantly. "No," he assumed. "He saw my eye and your hand and he just assumed." He blows out a laden breath and leans his head back, looking up at the roof. It looks like it's almost too painful for him to even ask the next question. "Why were you alone with him in the bathroom?" I take another step forward. "He followed me in there. I know nothing about him now, Ryle. I didn't even know he owned the restaurant. I thought he was just a waiter. He's not part of my life anymore, I swear. I fold my arms together and drop my voice. We both grew up in an abusive household. He saw my face and his hand, and he was just worried for me. That's all it was. That's all it was." Ryle brings his hands up and covers his mouth. I can hear the air rushing through his fingers as he releases his breath. He stands up straight a allowing himself a moment to suck in all I've just said. My turn, he says. He pushes off the car and takes 3 steps toward me that previously separated us. He puts both hands on my cheeks and looks me dead in the eyes. If you don't want to be with me, please tell me right now, Lily, because when I saw you with them, that hurt. I never want to feel that way again, and if it hurts this much now, I'm terrified to think of what it could be. I'm terrified to think of what it could do to me in a year from now. I can feel the tears begin to stream down my cheeks. I place my hands on top of his and shake my head. I don't want anyone else, Ryle. I only want you. He forces the saddest smile I've ever seen on a human. He pulls me to him and holds me there. I wrap my arms around him as tight as I can as he presses his lips to the side of my head. I love you, Lily. God, I love you. I squeeze him tight, pressing a kiss to his shoulder. I love you too. I close my eyes and I wish I could wash away the entire last 2 days. Atlas is wrong about Ryle. I just wish Atlas knew he was wrong. And that's chapter 15. Alright, you guys, I feel like that was a little bit short. So I think we're gonna read chapter 16 too, because chapter 16 is very short. So quickly, let's read chapter 16 as well. Chapter 16. I mean, I'm not trying to be selfish, but didn't you taste the dessert, Lily? Alyssa groans. Oh, it was so good. We're never going back there, I say to her. She stomps her foot like a little kid. But, nope. We have to respect your brother's feelings. She folds her arms over her chest. I know. Why did you have to be a hormonal teenager and fall in love with the best chef in Boston? He wasn't a chef when I knew him. Whatever, she says. She walks out of my office and closes the door. My phone buzzes with an incoming text from Ryle. 5 hours down, about 5 more to go. So far so good. Hand is great. I sigh relieved. I wasn't sure if he'd be able to do the surgery today, but knowing how much he was looking forward to it makes me happy for him. Me, steadiest hands in all of Boston. I open my laptop and check my email. The first thing I see is an inquiry from the Boston Globe. I open it and it's from a journalist interested in running an article about the store. I grin like an idiot and start emailing her back when Alyssa knocks on the door. She opens it and sticks her head in. Hey, she says. Hey, I say back. She taps her fingers on the door frame. Remember a few minutes ago when you told me I can never go back to Pips because it's unfair to Ryle that the boy you loved when you were a teenager is the owner? I fall back against the chair. What do you want, Alyssa? She scrunches up her nose and says, if it isn't fair that we can't go back there because of the owner, how is it fair that the owner gets to come here? What? I close my laptop and stand up. Why would you say that? Is he here? She nods and slips inside my office, closing the door behind her. He is. He asked for you. And I know you're with my brother and I'm with Child, but can we just please take a moment to silently admire the perfection that is that man? She smiles dreamily and I roll my eyes. Alyssa. Those eyes though. She opens the door and walks out. I follow behind her and catch sight of Atlas. She's right here. Alyssa says, would you like me to take your coat? We don't take coats. Atlas glances up when I walk out of my office. His eyes cut to Alyssa and he shakes his head. No thank you, I won't be long. Alyssa leans forward over the counter, dropping her chin on her hands. Stay as long as you like. In fact, are you looking for an extra job? Lily needs to hire more people and we're looking for someone who can lift really heavy things. Requires a lot of flexibility. Bending over. I narrow my eyes at Alyssa and mouth. Enough. She shrugs innocently. I hold my door open for Atlas, but avoid looking directly at him as he passes me. I feel a world of guilt for what happened last night, but also a world of anger for what happened last night. I walk around the desk and drop into my seat, prepared for an argument. But when I look up at him, I clamp my mouth shut. He's smiling. He waves his hand around in a circle as he takes a seat across from me. This is incredible, Lily. I pause. Thank you. He continues continues smiling at me like he's proud of me. Then he places a bag between us on the desk and pushes it toward me. A gift, he says. You can open it later. Why is he buying me gifts? He has a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend. Our past has already caused enough problems in my present. I certainly don't need gifts to exasperate that. Why are you buying me gifts, Atlas? He leans back in his seat and crosses his arms over his chest. I bought it 3 years ago. I've been holding on to it in case I ever ran into you. Consider it, Atlas. He hasn't changed at all. Damn it. I pick up the gift and set it on the floor behind my desk. I try to release some of the tension I'm feeling, but it's really hard when everything about it makes me so tense. I came here to apologize to you, he says. I wave off the apology, letting him know it isn't necessary. It's fine. It was a misunderstanding. Ryle is fine. He laughs under his breath. That's not what I'm apologizing for, he says. I never apologize for defending you. You weren't defending me. I say there was nothing to defend. He tilts his head, giving me the same look that he gave me last night. The one that let me know how disappointed in me he is. It stings deep in my gut. I clear my throat. Why are you apologizing then? He's quiet for a moment, contemplative. I wanted to apologize for saying that you sounded like your mother. That was hurtful, and I'm sorry. I don't know why I almost feel like crying when I'm around him. When I think about him, when I read about him, it's like my emotions are still tethered to him somehow, and I can't figure out how to cut the strings. His eyes drop to my desk. He reaches forward and grabs 3 things: a pen, a sticky note, my phone. He writes something down on the sticky note and then proceeds to pull my phone apart. He slips the case off and puts the sticky note between the case of my phone, then slides the cover back on it. He pushes my phone back across the desk. I look down at it and then up at him. He stands up and tosses the pen on my desk. It's my cell phone number. Keep it hidden there in case you ever need it. I wince at the gesture. The unnecessary gesture. I won't need it. I hope not. He walks to the door and reaches for the doorknob, and I know this is my only chance to get out what I have to say before he's out of my life forever. Atlas, wait. I stand up so fast my chair scoots across the room and bumps into the wall. He half turns and faces me. What Ryle said to you last night. I bring a nervous hand up to my neck. I can feel my heart beating in my throat. I never said that to him. He was hurt and upset, and he misconstrued my words from a long time ago. The corner of Atlas' mouth twitches, and I'm not sure if he's trying not to smile or trying not to frown. He faces me straight on. Believe me, Lily, I know that wasn't a pity. F-U-C-K. I was there. What does that mean? What does that mean? He walks out the door, and his words knock me straight back into my seat. Only my seat is no longer there. It's still on the other side of the office, and I'm now on the floor. Alyssa rushes in, and I'm lying on my back behind my desk. Lily. She runs around the desk and stands over me. Are you okay? I hold up a thumb. Fine. Just missed my chair. She reaches out her hand and helps me to my feet. What was that all about? I glance at the door as I retrieve my chair. I take a seat and look down at my phone. Nothing. He was just apologizing. Alyssa sighs longingly and looks back at the door. So, does that mean he doesn't want a job? I've got to hand it to her. Even in the midst of emotional turmoil, she can make me laugh. Get back to work before I dock your pay. She laughs and makes to leave. I tap my pen against my desk and then say, Alyssa, wait. I know, she says, cutting me off. Ryle doesn't need to know about that visit. You don't have to tell me. I smile. Thank you. She closes the door. I reach down and pick up the bag with my 3-year-old gift inside. I pull it out and can easily tell it's a book wrapped in tissue paper. I tear the tissue paper away and fall against the back of my chair. There's a picture of Ellen DeGeneres on the front. The title is Seriously. I'm kidding. I laugh and then open the book, gasping quietly when I see it's autographed. I run my fingers over the words of the inscription. Lily. Atlas says, just keep swimming. Ellen DeGeneres. I run my finger over the signature. Then I drop the book on my desk, press my forehead against it, and fake cry against the cover. And that's chapter, what was that? I think that honestly these two chapters were probably my favorite in a very long time. They were light, but like not too light, but like light enough to where I didn't feel like I wanted to cry half the time. I feel like I was team Ryle